Hey, what's up guys? Tito here, and I wanted to do a live broadcast today, but just things come up, so I'm not able to do that. My apologies. But still, the topic that I was going to discuss in the live broadcast is going to be discussed in this rant. And so let's just kick it off. You guys pretty much know me already as far as what you guys seen on YouTube, and those of you that follow me on social media know how I am about technology. It's not just something that I portray on YouTube. In my everyday life, it's one of my favorite topics to discuss with friends and family. And so this is just one of those things where I kind of just want to take the spotlight onto brands like Huawei, ZTE, Lenovo, and all of them. But for the longest time, they've been looked at as like the generic or budget, low-end, or even mid-range brands to go with, as companies such as Samsung, LG, HTC have always dominated the market as far as like being looked at as the best to get. Especially Samsung has ridden that wave of success for so long. It's kind of nice to see where brands like Huawei and ZTE, where they were 5, 6, 7 years ago, and what they are now is absolutely insane, the growth that they have. And no, they're not just a startup company or anything like that. Some people have that misconstrued and think that companies like ZTE and Huawei are startups. They just got on and got going. They've been around for a while. Their devices started making their way into the US market, which is why you're starting to see a lot of them, and a lot of reviewers actually pick them up and review them for you guys. It's their growth is just outstanding. Really, it is. When you kind of think about it. And even if you were to look back and see some of the older devices that say like ZTE for one, what they've put out like 5 years ago, you would be amazed at what they have in the Southeast Asian market. They have been doing this for so long. We just seen the tip of the iceberg for them as far as like what they've introduced to the United States, to the US area, and in Europe. But they've had some really cool devices. I tell you guys, look them up. Google is your friend. Look it up. It's completely insane what kind of phones they've had out there. And when you look at it, you kind of think to yourself like, why didn't they bring these things to the US? And that's a question I ask all the time, is why didn't they bring those devices to the US? If they had brought those devices to the US, just imagine the response that we would have given back. Now, of course, I'm not a complete fool to the whole thing. I do know that there are things that are allowed in places like China, Vietnam, and Cambodia, and all these places that the U.S. will not sign off on. So therefore, that product cannot be brought to the U.S. Like, I get that, and that could possibly be it, but we're not for sure because we're not behind those closed doors dealings with the aesthetics of business. But I can say that right now, when you look at the growth of what these companies have done, it's truly amazing and outstanding. Really, I mean, like take Huawei for example. Like Huawei has pumped out devices that people are really starting to enjoy. The most recent with the Honor 6X, and I think the Mate 9. If I might be wrong, but the Mate 9 I think is another one that people are really enjoying out there. The Honor 6X, which is a mid-ranger, about $250. It's got some well-off specs, pretty good, and is right now notably compared to ZTE's Blade V8 Pro, which is another device by ZTE that people are just really like ranting and raving about, but for good reasons. And you got like past devices like the Honor 8, which is my next device that I'm going to grab. I think that's besides the specs of the device, just the aesthetics, the build, I think it's a very gorgeous phone, in my opinion. Especially the blue version. I love playing with that. I go to Best Buy all the time and play with that phone just in anticipation for when I'm going to have the funds to buy it. And even like the Honor 5X, which is I think almost a year old, or about a year old already. This is the Senza, which is basically the Honor 5X. And I'm actually surprised at how well this phone performs and functions for $100. Okay, for $100, and how well it performs and functions is still kind of just boggles my mind. But happy that I made that purchase, and that's always what I like to feel, and that's what I always try to bring on YouTube for you guys, to help you guys with your decision making, is so you can have that same feeling that you're happy with what you purchase and everything. But I am trying to break people out of this whole notion that Samsung is absolutely the best to get or LG is absolutely the best to get. They are great at what they do, and they've been doing it for the U.S. market for so long. And I won't take that away from those brands. But looking at, outside manufactured Chinese brands or even Vietnamese brands is not really going to kill you. As look at the Nexus 6P. That's a Huawei built device, and a lot of people were sketchy about it when they heard that Huawei was building the next Nexus, until they finally got it in hand, and then were just amazed by how it performed. So yeah, I mean, when you kind of think about it, even going on the ZTE side, like ZTE, everyone looked at ZTE as like the most crappiest phones, and they were. The earlier ZTE devices that you would find on Boost Mobile and stuff were very not the best. That's the best way I can put it. They're very not the best. They were crappy. They run like shit, literally. But when you kind of look at its growth now, you look at the growth of it, like take it for one of my favorite devices, the ZTE Warp Sync, which was one device that, rarely made its spot on YouTube. I think myself and like 3 other people were the only ones that ever did a video on the Warp Sync. And that device, although back then when it came out, the norms for budget devices was like 8 gigs of internal storage, the one thing the Warp Sync had going for it was it had pretty decent cameras for its time, and it introduced 2 gigs of RAM on the phone when a lot of flagships were just starting to introduce 2 gigs of RAM on the phone. So it ran smooth. And then you take the Warp Sync to its next one, which is the Warp Elite, and that device was just gorgeously built. You didn't really feel like that it was supposed to be a budget device the way that it was constructed and designed. And then of course performance was also a bump up, 16 gigs of onboard storage, 2 gigs of RAM, all that good stuff. Shebang's cameras was really good on it. Move up to the next one, which is kind of a slight bump, nothing too dramatically increasing, but the Warp 7, people love that phone today. And that shows you ZTE strides in its growth. But besides that, when you look at devices like the Blade V8 Pro, which a lot of YouTubers are ranting about right now, obviously shows you just how good these companies are building out their smartphones and what they're bringing into the U.S. market. And I think the fear of it all, which is the fact that it's Chinese made, they're possibly stealing our information. We don't know what really goes on behind the scenes. All that stuff is speculation until confirmed. Like the incident with Blue, which is Bold Like Us. The incident where information was basically taken, to the Chinese basically got a hold of all the information of those people that had Blue devices. Well, I don't want to say all because it's, but majority of them had their information basically put out in China. Why? There was a leak. There was a leak in the company and how things were constructed and made and where this information went. But Blue has rectified that situation. Yes, it's scary to know that another country can get your info, but on the real, countries hack each other all the time to know what they're doing behind closed doors. That's not, that's not a given. And my big rule of thumb is that if there's something that you don't want the world to find out or know, then you shouldn't have anything to do with the internet. Because anything that you connect to the internet is basically public. I don't care how you can talk about firewalls, security things, all these things that you can put on to protect your information, passwords, and yada, yada, yada. But if it's on the internet, it's vulnerable and it's fragile. Point case. So, people don't have to freak out so much about Huawei or ZTE and be like, we're the Chinese built, they're spying on us or whatever. Like, spy on me all you want, and all you're going to see is just a real geeky person who likes to talk about Android devices and other mobile gadgets, who likes watching anime and freaking movies like John Wick and Pirates of the Caribbean. Go ahead and hack my phone and take that info. It's not going to do anything. But that's just me. I'm the type of person that's just like, I don't put a lot of my personal stuff out there for the world, so I don't have nothing to fear, really. And therefore allows me to utilize devices like Huawei and ZTE and not have a worry about it. So, but anyways, if you guys enjoyed this rant, you guys can let me know by smashing that like button. It lets me know you guys enjoyed it. Links will pop up on the display. Click them. Subscribe. Hit that bell option so you know when I upload a video, and that way you won't miss a thing. That's it for right now, I guess you guys can say. Mahalo for checking out the video, and aloha till the next time. Have a great start of the week, guys. Love you. Bye.